Today we're going to replace the tie rod ends on the back of a C6 Corvette. The first thing I'm going to do is mark the threads with the paint pen so I don't screw my tie rod in too far when I put the new one on. So with the tie rod still mounted to the car, I'm going to take a wrench and I'm going to break that nut free. This lock nut is what holds the tie rod from spinning when you're driving down the road. So I only gave it about half a turn. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to put my new tie rod end on past that and screw up my alignment. It's going to be a couple days before I get to the dealership and get the car aligned. The next thing I'm going to do is take the nut off the top of the ball joint on the tie rod. So I'm just going to take a brass hammer and just knock that out. You shouldn't need a tie rod fork for this application. Now if you look up on your tie rod arm, there is a place for a 14mm wrench to hook up to hold it in place. And then you just take your other wrench and loosen the tie rod up and then take it off. This is quite possibly the easiest job you could ever do for your Corvette. The reason I'm doing mine is both boots are just totally eroded through, so there's no longer any weather protection for the ball joint. I replaced the fronts at 65,000 miles when I purchased the car. They were pretty well shot. So keep a good eye on your rubber on those ball joints. You don't want that rubber to separate and road grime and dirt, debris, water to get into your ball joint. So here's my brand new AC Delco tie rod end. I wish I could tell you you could go to an auto parts store and pick up a new one, but you cannot. These aren't that expensive from your local Chevrolet dealer. I believe mine were about $70 a piece. That's about what I paid for the aftermarket tie rod ends for the front. These were made by GM for your Corvette, so you might as well use what you can get. So as you see, I just twisted it on until it touched the nut, and then I backed it off a little bit. Now I just push the ball joint up through the hub assembly, and I'm going to put the new nut on. The nice thing about the GM ball joint is it has a place to put a hex wrench in the top of it, and then you can just take a regular wrench and tighten down that nut, and it'll hold that ball joint from spinning while you're trying to tighten that nut down. So now we have that nut tightened down. It's not going to go anywhere. Now we need to tighten down the lock nut on the back end of the tie rod end, and that'll keep that tie rod locked onto the arm. That arm does turn. So this pretty much shows you how easy it is to replace that ball joint. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.